Okay, we have 6 o'clock, so I've started the recording and we are live.
Okay, this is Mike Doucette, Chair of the Community Preservation Committee, calling the meeting to order. First thing I'd like to do is take a roll call, find out who's in attendance. So please answer when I call your name. Jane Healy.
Sorry, here.
Don Little.
Don Little is present.
Paul Healy.
Here.
Paul Healy.
Here.
Mark Rosen.
Mark Rosen is here.
Tom Walters.
Here.
Ron Zimba.
I'm here.
Let's see, anybody from the committee members that I haven't called? Doesn't look like it. Okay, Rachel and Caitlin are present, as is Andy. We have a short agenda tonight, and it has to do with the stuff you've received from Caitlin in the form of a out-of-cycle application from the planning office with Jordy Vining with regard to the recreation project at the Clipper City Rail Trail, particularly the Phase 3 at Parker Street. First thing I'd like to do is have Jordy do a presentation, and then following the presentation and any questions, comments we have back and forth, what I anticipate is a two-phase of discussion and vote. One is needing an affirmative vote that this application will be taken out of sequence, and we'll state the reasons for that in the motion, and secondly, whether we recommend it or not to City Council. So Jordy, I'd like to give you the floor, or is Andy going to be presenting?
Hello there, this is Jordy. I think it's me.
Okay, it sounds like you.
All right. I was instructed to keep it very brief. So so I'm going to keep it very brief, and then we can, focus any time that people want on, questions and answers. I think this is a fairly straightforward situation. I believe you're all familiar with the project itself, the Parker Street Trail aspect of the Clipper City Rail Trail overall project. And in terms of, yeah,
we're breaking up on your audio.
Sorry, I'll try to speak even closer to my my laptop here. Hopefully that'll work. And yeah, please interrupt.
I'm not sure if the problem's on my end or yours.
All right, let me start over and tell me if you can hear me, okay?
This is Don Walters. I can hear Jordy fine, so
okay.
maybe cheers. I don't know about the others.
Right again, Jordy, could you go from the top?
Will do. Luckily you don't have video because I'm putting my face right up against the screen here. So, okay, so I was just saying that I believe you all are relatively familiar with the project, the Parker Street Trail project as an aspect of the overall Clipper City Rail Trail project. We went over this with the in previous CPC applications and approvals. In terms of the out of sequence aspect of this, the basic background on that is the CP application was put in back in the beginning of the year, a good 6 months ago or so, and that was based. The itemized cost estimates were based on a fall itemized cost estimate that our engineer TEC had put together. So because of the long gestation of the grant cycle, the project plans were developed over the course of the spring and the summer. And then we were working with the CPC and then the Planning Development Committee and then the City Council just in the past, whatever that was, the past month or so. After that whole process, our engineer TEC gave us the final cost estimate, and we knew that costs were rising for various reasons. And then we bid the project out. And just last week, we received bids from 6 contractors. So the long and the short of it is the costs are about 10% over what was originally projected 6 or 9 months ago. And I don't think that's anything that's particularly unusual as projects get developed. In this case, the 40,000 is essentially a combination of the somewhat higher bids and having to have a minimum 5% construction contingency, and then needing to contract with our engineer for construction management services during the construction phase, on-site supervision, some on-site supervision, and dealing with shop drawings and approvals and all that kind of thing. So that's the basic story. We're very appreciative of you meeting tonight on sort of short notice to deal with this in a similar fashion with the City Council's meetings that are coming up tomorrow and then at the end of the month. And if all goes well in terms of most or all of us approving of the project, then we can really keep on track in terms of contracting with the low bidder and amending the contract with the engineer and having a pre-construction meeting and mobilizing that contractor in September next month so that we can have the fall construction season and really substantially complete this project. At least that's what's anticipated this fall, with final completion in the spring. So that's my kind of quick overview of the situation and the request, and I'm happy to answer any questions along those lines. Andy's pulled up the basic budget here, where I've outlined the revenues and then the itemized costs, and there's a box around the 40,000 showing how the request sort of fits into that framework.
This is Andy, and Jordy, if you don't mind just adding, I just wanted to emphasize again for the committee members, I think you already know this maybe, but there's some urgency to approving this one, mainly because Jordy's got working with the design team and the contractor and all the other things that go along with that. We have an amazing number of bureaucratic things that have to be done and to keep these projects on schedule. And even within season, we think about it being warm weather right now, but that things move along pretty quickly in terms of extra weeks added for contracts being signed, budgets being ready for that sort of thing. So I guess the bottom line is that the City Council is meeting tomorrow night, and we had talked to the Council President about expediting if the committee can approve this additional request for funding for this project tonight, that they would take it as a late file communication for tomorrow night's meeting, and that way they could act on it at the very following meeting they have, which would be the 31st of this month. And that would allow, I think, just barely us to keep on schedule with this without disrupting other aspects of the project that could push it into the next season even. So, that's why I just wanted to give that a little context. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Andy, could you remind us the dollar limitation that the approved order from City Council put on the Parker Street section of the rail trail project?
50,000, and it's 50,000, and that's sort of represented in this table that's up on the screen saying CPA 2020 FY21.
Yep. Okay.
And so the additional funds is represented right there with the 40. Those are the two numbers that you'd be looking at just for this particular project.
All right.
So it's really supplementing.
Anybody have any questions for Andy or Jordy on the application?
This is Paul. So the 40,000 extra is just for the Parker Street section.
Correct.
Yeah.
I correct that the scope has not changed? It's just the costs.
Right.
That's correct. The scope has not changed. Again, it's about 10% higher. I'd have to look back at what particular aspects of the project bumped up. I think the signal, the pedestrian signal, the hawk signal, the installation and acquiring that cost more than anticipated last fall. So that was sort of one piece of that. There were several other components that, as the project was vetted and developed, were in terms of guardrail, for instance, wetlands replication, several other things that hadn't necessarily been focused on back last fall.
Zimba, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I have no trouble approving this request for additional funds. However, I do have this question. I understand from some of the reading that Councilor Eigerman is in favor of this extension, this supplementary CPA 2020.
Yeah.
I find that a little puzzling because he spent so much time trying to talk us out of approving it in the first place. Can anybody shed any light on that?
Yeah, and you can probably weigh in on that too, but I believe the issue is Councilor Eigerman is supportive of this aspect of the rail trail project, but not of the shoreline aspect of the project behind the wastewater treatment facility.
I see. Thank you.
That's correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Questions? I'd like to hear a motion on approving this, taking this application out of sequence.
This is Ron. I move that we approve this supplementary expense request, I should say.
I would submit with that motion the justification that is indeed represents a change in circumstances that requires immediate action in order to address the necessary timing for the construction season.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, any second on that?
This is Jane, second.
Did I get a second?
Yeah, yes, Jane seconded.
Okay, sorry, Jane, I missed that.
That's okay.
Okay, I'll do if no further discussion, I'll do a roll call. Jane?
Yes.
Don Little?
Don Little, yes.
Don Little?
Don Little, yes.
Don Little, you still with us?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike,
he-
Mike, yours is breaking up. Don Little, yes.
Hey, I must be not hearing stuff on this end with maybe my connections going in and out. I'm in a different location than I usually am. Paul Healy,
Yes,
Mark Rosen,
Mark Rosen, yes.
Don Waters,
Yes. Yes.
Ron Zimba.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mark Rosen.
Has somebody moved to approve?
Yes, Mark Rosen, so moved.
Thank you, Mark.
I'll second.
And I just
Paul.
supplement that with move to approve the recommendation for the application in the form of the printed recommendation that was submitted by the planning office. Any further discussion?
This is Don Walters.
Is there a second?
I seconded.
This is Don Walters. Can you hear me, Mike?
I can, thank you.
I just have one comment on this motion, and it regards the $40,000 that I suspect we'll approve. If there are any funds left over up to the maximum of $40,000, whether it's the contingency or perhaps the TEC construction management is less, will those funds go back to the CPA, or perhaps Jordy or Andy could answer that? Mike, if you don't, where do they go?
Generally, unused funds, if they have to be used for the scope of the project that was approved, and any unused funds have to come back.
That's correct.
Yeah, and in this case, if we end up not, it's a good question. If we end up not spending that entire 40,000 because we're lucky and everything works out with the contractor, then we would either give it back to the CPC, or we would come back to the CPC and say something along the lines of, there's $5,000, for instance, remaining, and we'd like it to apply it to, this other aspect of the rail trail project, and then see where that goes. So that's a possibility, I suppose.
Thank you all.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, somebody remind me, did I get a second on that one?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a roll call. Jane,
Yes.
Don Little,
Don Little, yes.
Paul Healy,
Yes.
Mark Rosen,
Mark Rosen, yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Ron Zimba,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, I am not aware of any other updates that are needed to be discussed tonight. Anybody else have any new business?
Nothing from the office, no.
I have a question.
And
the
I think
chair.
I'd prefer to wait till the next meeting to do a review and approval of the 2 sets of minutes, if that meets everybody's approval.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Anything else from anybody?
I just say I really appreciate everyone's support for the project and support for the out of cycle request, and for meeting, just to review this and push it through the process with the council so we can stay on track. That's really great.
Well, good luck on that end.
Yeah, right.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And Caitlin had put together the sort of standard type of recommendation from the CPC that had been included in the email. So I assume that Andy and I and Mike will sort of carry that forward to submit to the clerk's office tomorrow morning as a late file.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Well, thanks again, everybody.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay, then how many of you approve the adjournment of this meeting?
I would.
I
Okay,
did.
that sounds like a unanimous show of hands to me.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Bye-bye.
short and sweet. Bye, everybody.
We'll be in touch by email about scheduling of the October meeting, whether we'll need a September meeting and scheduling the October meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Right. Bye.